Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and we are working on our Jesus Art Journal Challenge for the week, which is going to be the letter Y, and that is the Year of Jubilee. So I went ahead and cut everything out this time. Now this one is just because they let the field go fallow, so that's why I picked that out, and it's on a separate page. So this is all on one page, and then this is over on a separate page. Actually, I think it was on the page we did from last week. So if you decide you want to use those, that's what I have for Y. So I'm going to draw my prompts, and I went back and looked at all my prompts, and I discovered something that I thought I had 54 prompts, which would allow you to throw 2 away if you found 2 you didn't like. And that should have worked out, except for the fact that I only gave you 53. And that's why I only have 3 prompts left. So I'm trying to figure out what to do about that. But I'm going to put it off one more week and just draw 2 for today out of here. Add an old slide. Okay. And flick paint over the surface. Okay, I can do that. All right, so there's the prompts. I've gone ahead and fixed the paper, put plastic over the rest of it to get ready for this week. This is the Year of Jubilee, and so I have some stories to tell about this, and so there's talking. So let me tell you this, if you don't want to hear me talking, that is fine. You might want to fast forward because I'm going to tell a story about how this came up in my life. And I may have told this story on another one. I'm sorry if sorry if you've heard it before. I always was fascinated with the Year of Jubilee in the Old Testament because, they stopped working let the land rest for a year. They forgave debts. People took their property back that they had to sell or lease or whatever. And it was just kind of like a big party. It seemed to me like just a great, like all your debts are canceled, and, you're basically taking a year off, and God provided enough food to get through it. And so I would pray, I'm like, Lord, I would like to have a year of Jubilee. So I asked him for a year of Jubilee. But then I also knew that in the New Testament, it says Jesus is our Jubilee. The acceptable year of the Lord is what it's called. I prayed about it, and, I thought, well, it's the 50th year. They went through, it was the 50th year. Every 50th year was the Year of Jubilee in Israel. I kind of thought, well, maybe something will happen when I'm 50. Maybe God will, do something and really bless me or something. And nothing really happened, and that was fine. I was just kind of thinking about it. I wasn't like standing there waiting like, oh, what's he going to do? So when I turned 53, actually, I had a job at a big corporation, a social expression company. I'd been there for 31 years, I think. And the economy was bad. Everything was looking bad. And the company had never laid people off, but they had begun to lay people off. And they had several rounds of layoffs. And they had gotten down to where, well, we've laid off the people who, have bad performance, bad attendance, all those things. Now we're looking at how can we cut? And they said they were going to lay 1,000 people off in the next one. And everybody was looking at each other and, like, well, you'd look at who's in your department and go, well, who's the weakest link? It's terrible to say it, but that's how it was. My immediate manager had told me, don't worry, you're fine. And I thought it was going to be fine. So they said, well, the people who will be laid off, you come in the morning, you'll get an email and it will say, go to the 2nd floor. Okay, so I came into work, opened my emails, and there was an email. And I can't even tell you what it felt like. It was like shocking, beyond shocking. Because, I've got bills to pay. I've got a mortgage, a house, I'd never worked anywhere else really for so many years. Come to find out, instead of what they had done to hit the numbers is they had just eliminated my whole job classification. So everybody that was what I was eliminated. So I was just I prayed about it. I just felt, I don't know, God just gave me this like special grace just fell on me. And there were people in the halls crying. There were people angry. There were people in every sort of, you can imagine, that had been laid off. And it was just a madhouse. But I just felt this peace. And I just thought, God's going to take care of this. God's going to take care of this. And as it turned out, the guy who had decided to lay us off decided he would help me find a job. He was going to mentor me. So as this thing progressed, they actually gave us a buyout. They gave us a buyout package. And so what it was 2 weeks of pay for every year you'd been there. And so that gave me 62 weeks of pay. So one day I was thinking about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my year of Jubilee. God has given me over a year of pay. And it just thrilled me, because I just got that, how you get that feeling when you know that God's doing something. And I got so excited that I told the man who was mentoring me, who was not a Christian. He thought I was crazy, I think. And I think he also thought that I wasn't going to look for a job like for a year. Like, oh, God's given her a year off. She's not going to even look for a job. So I'm done with this. So anyway, that was the end of him. And so I, of course, kept looking for a job, because I needed a job. So I kept looking, praying. I said, God, I'll go anywhere you want me to go. I kept applying for jobs and things, and all over the country. And in fact, one day, because we lived in Kansas City, and it was, the cost of living there is very low. So I was laying in bed, and I had just told God again that I will go wherever you want me to go. And the phone rang, and it was a lady asking me if I wanted to interview for this position, and it was in New York City. And I was just like, oh my goodness, we would have to live in a cardboard box if we lived in New York City. And so I was like, I was kind of like, I felt like God was like kind of joking around, like, watch this, I'm gonna watch what she does. And so it was just kind of funny. I didn't have to go for that job interview or anything. It didn't go any further, but it was just kind of funny. So anyway, so during that year, I got to go to Europe. I had a friend that lived in Europe. She invited me to come. So I got to go over there and stay for, I think it was almost 3 weeks, because I didn't have a job. Another thing I had asked for, and I know you're thinking, what a spoiled brat. Yes, I am a spoiled brat. I had asked God for a free trip. Now, I had been on a couple of free trips to Hawaii that I had won with some sales work I did. And so they were free trips, and it was so fun and everything. And so I had asked one time, I was like, Lord, that would be great. Could I have another free vacation? And, it doesn't hurt to ask. That's what I figure. So I just kind of threw it out there. And so during this year, one of my friends won this contest to go on the Bonnie Franklin show, which was a daytime talk show at the time. And it was with Bush's Beans. And they let her have 3 friends go with her out to Hollywood and watch the taping of the show and go to Rodeo Drive and see all the sights. And so she invited me to go and 2 other girls. And so I got to go on a free trip, walk around Rodeo Drive, go out to Santa Monica Pier, all that good stuff. And they picked us up in this huge limousine. Everywhere we went, they drove us in limousines. So it was just amazing. So I lost my job in October. And so what happened was I ended up getting, I got Thanksgiving off and Christmas off. Well, I had never had those holidays off like that, the whole time off. And it was so wonderful to be off for the holidays. So I thought, well, I don't have a job. Lord, I know, I get a year off because it's a year of Jubilee, but I just thought I'm not going to get another job until next October, because that's when I was let go. But Lord, if you could just see your way clear to let me have off the holidays next year and not let me not find a job until January, that would be great. Okay, so the year goes. I go to Europe. I go to Hollywood. Sure enough, a job comes up, opens up in October. And it was a subsidiary company of my parent company that I'd been let go from. And they had an opening. They hired me. They wanted me immediately. And so I'm like, well, that's fine. Thank you, Lord, for a year off. Thank you so much. I was waiting to hear back from him on the details. And so she calls me back and she goes, well, because you are in a buyout from the parent company, we can't take you until your buyout period is over. So you have to wait for the full 62 weeks to end before you can start. And that takes you right up until the first week of January. So I got the holidays off as well. So what looked like, from the world standpoint, as the biggest disaster that could happen to a person, turned into the biggest blessing, one of the biggest blessings of my life. So, and it went from there. I mean, there were a lot of, I won't go on, but there were so many supernatural, wonderful blessings from God. So that was my year of Jubilee. So, all right, so enough storytelling. I am going to go on with this, and I'm going to put this, I love this painting of these women out in the field celebrating. And so I decided I'm going to put this one on the small one, this one on the big one, and of course have the words. And so what I haven't quite figured out, I think I'm just going to make an abstract background and maybe kind of look at the colors on this and maybe come up with something that just echoes that. So I'm going to set this aside. Oh, I've got to find an old slide. I know I've got some here somewhere. I think what I'll do, I think I better gesso. Yeah, I think I better gesso my paper. Okay, so I'm going to do that, let it dry, and then I'll come back. Okay, I'm back, and I've got this thing so topsy-turvy. I got the wrong side gessoed. So this should be the next page, and I turned it over into this side, which is fine, because what that will do is, at least if I put paint on this or ink, it won't soak through and ruin the back because it's gessoed, so it's protected. And so I'm going to look at this piece of artwork for my direction. Going by this is going to be bright. I think I'm probably going to have bright colors, and then maybe have to figure out how to mute them a little bit. So I'm just going to play around. I've got my golden high flow acrylic, phthalo green. Okay, we are back, and I apologize for this week being late. I had the eye appointment and had to have my retina checked, and my eyes were dilated and everything, and I did some, but I just couldn't get everything done that I needed to. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this while I'm thinking about it. So for this one, I'm going to do this down here and put Year of Jubilee up here, using a marker. Oh, you know what? I forgot I've got to do flick paint over the surface and add the slide. So I need to find a slide, figure that out. But I'm going to go ahead and do this one. I don't know why, but I think I'm just going to do the Y over the top of the color this week. So I broke down and got the Tim Holtz paint flicking brush just to see if it does a better job. I have not used it yet. So, oh, well, it does a pretty good job. I'm going to try some of this yellow ochre just to tie in the color right here because it's not anywhere else. I thought if I flicked some gold on there, it would tie it together better. So this is a little thicker. So I'm going to take the wet brush, see if this works or not. Might be too wet. No, actually, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna let that go. Bring this one back and do some more with that gold. All right, I think that is good. So I'm gonna let that dry and then I'll come back and finish gluing. Okay, I found an old slide and it's kind of cool because the colors on it go with this color scheme. And so I decided that since it didn't make any sense by itself and it might make people wonder if they looked at it, like what's the reason for this? I decided that I would add a few more things. I'm going to add some green stamps and another ticket. Just so that it kind of lets the person know there's collaging on this page that doesn't necessarily mean anything to the subject. And so, you know, anytime you do something, a lot of time, a rule of thirds kind of applies in a lot of situations. So like, for instance, if you're doing your living room and you want to have accent colors in blue, you want to do 3 big blobs of blue somewhere, pillow, vase, something. And if there's 3, you tend to accept it. Like you see it, it stands out as a color that's part of the thing and it brings it all together. So in the same way, I'm doing 3 objects that don't relate to this in hopes that that will sort of give the person a clue what's going on here. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue these things on. And I guess this will glue. It's cardboard, so I guess it will glue with this. And I'm just going to glue it straight on. These green stamps, I don't know if the glue still works, so I'm just going to go ahead and put glue on them. Put those over here. And the ticket, I'll just add that on down here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this painting of these women sort of dancing in the Harvest Festival. So there's why. Year of Jubilee, the favorable year of the Lord. And now we just have one more letter to go and we're going to be all done. So I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.